Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Ask Julius Show. I am Greg Nyman Jr. I am an intuitive practitioner, a specialized card reader, and a life coach, and have had the wonderful opportunity of working with Julius for a number of years. And with me is the lovely Casey Spear, who is the conduit channel for the Ascended Masters group known as Julius. Julius has reached the highest level of consciousness in the human experience. If you are new to this channel, this is a rapid fire format where you get to ask Julius any number of questions and they will answer you. Um, please check out the website, channelingjulius.com. Please like, share, and comment hey, hello, or anything to interact with this video to get our reach out there. Hey, Casey, how are you?
Good. Hope everybody is doing well. We've got full moons, we've got holiday energy, we got New Year energy, we got all kinds of great energies unfolding. Hope everybody is feeling balanced, grounded, and hopefully especially blessed and joyous. So we are sending our love and our blessings to each and every one of you. Even if you're catching us on a replay, we send you greetings, love, and blessings to you as well.
Love it, love it. And we already have questions rolling in if you are ready to go.
Yeah, well, first thing I wanted to do is I want to remind everybody that we are in a very casual setting and that we have periodic background noises, funny little things that might squeak and pop, or I might get one of my cats walking across my lap, or in the experience, we just want to let you know that's just kind of what happens here at the Ask Julius show, and we just kind of let it become part of the experience. And I think we kind of love that aspect of the show. Not too tightly formatted, somewhat loose in the saddle a little bit, and we hope that you all enjoy that as well.
Love it, love it. All right. First question. Um, Again, we are not medical doctors, but we can um, offer our opinion.
Right, and we are not financial advisors either. This is for entertainment purposes only. We have to say that, right?
Absolutely,
Although
absolutely.
I don't know, I think your advice is very professional advice. We'll throw anything in doubt. We'll throw it back in Greg's lap, right?
I don't know if I'm ready for that level of responsibility, but all right. All right. Julius, what is I guess the question is, what do you think about stem cell therapy?
Oh, stem cell therapy. So, it's an interesting thing. We actually are going to support that stem cell therapy is somewhat of a precursor for a lot of what you're going to perceive to be new medical technology, the med beds, frequencies, and things of that nature. And many people have a different opinion about this. Some people have a really difficult time because obviously it comes from another living being. Stem cells are a transfer of stem cells from one embodiment to another. And some people can sometimes have a little bit of an issue when it comes to that. We will say, at the highest level of truth, we are all one. So, in a sense, you are, receiving stem cells from your own self, okay? And the idea, of course, is that you're getting younger stem cells, things that are healthier, younger, and you're putting them in a body that, has forms of decay or injury to it that can't seem to recover, a lot of chronic conditions, and it can even be used for forms of disease as a form of restoration and help to initiate and accelerate cellular turnover in your physical body where your cellular turnover has slowed down quite a bit. So this is kind of a, a booster shot really to your own system, It is, as ethical as most of your medical treatments are for people. Can you restore your stem cells? Yes, of course you can, at a particular state or level of frequency, but most people aren't at that level of frequency, and so we would say that it's a very useful aspect of restoration for the physical body.
So, would it, for my own interest, because I can, would it be fair to say that, yeah, the stem cells for the stem cell therapy are not weighed down or bogged down by judgments and fear like our aged, because we're prescribing to the illusion of time, our aged stem cells?
Yeah, it depends on the environment, of course, that they come out of, because, right, you are thought and emotion actualized at a cellular level. Of course, a lot of these stem cells are coming from aborted fetal tissue, in which case we're going to support that they can have quite a lot of fear embedded and encoded. So it depends on where they are coming from. That is the question.
And also whether or not the soul was in the fetus at the time, right?
That is correct. That is correct.
Next question. How do we surround ourselves with people on similar conscious journeys besides tuning into the podcast? LOL.
Well, you get to get a sense of frequency, master, a frequency. So what's interesting is a lot of people believe that they have to have the exact same point of view as somebody else to have frequency resonance. And we would say that that is not necessarily a full truth. So frequency is based on judgment of thought, okay? And since you are all thought, this comes down the pike to judgment of self, but people don't quite understand the correlation of that. A low frequency consciousness being is full of judgment and limited energies. A high consciousness being has virtually no judgment of any thought, therefore no judgment of anything or any person. And those are the two frequency differentiations, okay? You can have different forms of belief systems and still have a pretty good energy frequency match with others, as long as you aren't judging each other's perceptions and as long as you are hitting a marker of joy and self-love. So that's a really interesting topic, because again, some people think that you have to have the exact same type of belief system in order to have a frequency that you can enjoy an interactiveness with somebody or even an expansiveness with somebody, when actually quite a lot of expansion can come from having different opinions, as long as everybody is open and allowing to each other's opinions. So for instance, somebody has a belief system of something over here, and that doesn't resonate with you as a truth. It would be perfectly allowable for you to say, that is so interesting that that is the way that you think and the way that you perceive. That doesn't resonate as my whole perception. My perception goes another way, but I allow you yours. The person allows you yours, and you have a great conversation. You have a really expansive conversation, and it's filled with joy and non-judgment. So those are like in energy frequencies. They can certainly sit in the same room together rather than everybody having the exact same belief system. Okay, so there's a little bit of misinterpretation as to how frequency works. But you're looking for energy frequency match. So what does this mean? What this generally means, masters, is that it feels comfortable to be around somebody, okay? Your body will automatically let you know whether you're a frequency match or not. It will automatically let you know. It's tuning into your body to get a sense as to whether, the environmental conditions are an energy frequency match. But one of the great ways to tell is to interact, masters, to get out and interact a little bit, okay? You find a platform like this, which is lovely. Sounds like people have a likened energy frequency mindset, or at least are striving for a likened energy frequency mindset, and you start to chat a little bit, you start to interact a little bit, start to come have classes with us, start to have some cool things with us, where, especially when other students are present, and you may find yourself in a very joyous aspect. But other than that, your feelings, the way you feel, will let you know if you are interacting with likened energy frequency beings. And that's what we will tell you.
Amazing answer. Next question from Lionel. There's a view that the Earth is a master class and one of the most limited planets in the universe. I'd like to hear Julius's perspective on
Well, we don't believe it's a class. It is a remembering, and it's an aspect of creation demonstration. Okay. So you are source, and you are demonstrating yourself in every possible thought perspective, in every imaginative way that you can experience and know yourself as the all. Your planet is a holographic projectional stage, just like anything physical is. And we aren't sure what you're referring to as far as primitive goes. Are you talking about primitive as if, eating things from the earth, making your own soap, and, braiding your own hair? Or are you talking about levels of consciousness? Okay. The Earthship provides an opportunity for levels 1 through 6 to be experienced and known through a physical experience. That is extraordinary, and it is vast, and it has an infinite array of opportunity to it. That is the truth. There are other planets that exist that only deal with one level of consciousness at a time. Depending on the level of consciousness that is demonstrating or giving you the opportunity to know about yourself would determine whether it was low consciousness or high consciousness. In other words, a limitation or an expansion. So you have a perspective about primitive. We don't know if that means, lacking technology. That has
that.
absolutely nothing to do with the way consciousness can be experienced.
It was
Okay?
actually limited, not primitive. Sorry.
Okay, so the Earthship has unlimited potential for levels 1 through 6 to be experienced. Once you understand, first of all, what that even means, we have an extraordinary course called the 7 Levels of Consciousness Expanded, which we would encourage everybody to get a hold of, so they would have a better understanding of what even a conscious journey is about. But the Earthship is an extraordinary place, You get distracted and you get caught up with a vast majority of entities and beings that are living on this Earthship that are of low level consciousness. And you may end up perceiving that that's the only existence here on the Earthship, but it is not. Your conscious journey is up to you, and you can reach a high level or 6th level of consciousness here on this Earthship. You absolutely can. It just depends on how disciplined, how joyous, how intentional, and how aware you are of who you are being.
Love it. Please visit the website channelingjulius.com. Please like and share, interact with the video here, so we can expand our reach, get all about the algorithm and all that fun stuff that nobody really understands, but that's what we should do to get our reach out there. Next question from Delaney. Does AI have the potential to gain a soul?
Um, so a soul chooses to embody itself It is not likely that a soul would insert itself via free will into something that is non-organic and does not have the capacity to hold a level of consciousness in its state of awareness. Soul energies can be inserted, so they extract souls and they insert them into inorganic beings and hybrids, but the soul usually does not live for a long time or remain for a long time in something that is inorganic or not capable of compassion and empathy. AI is not organically capable of compassion or empathy. Any action or perception that comes from an AI has been programmed into that device or that inorganic thing, but that does not mean that it has soul or consciousness capacity. That's what we will say.
Amazing, amazing. Next question is from, if I can find it, from W. Paula. Again, we are not medical doctors. Um, I've been experiencing a dull pain in the right side of my abdomen. My blood test results were normal. Is it possible that this is related to my gallbladder?
You need a parasite detox is what we're telling you. Okay, so your filter systems, which is your gallbladder, your pancreas, and your liver, and your kidneys, of course, they need to be clean and clear, and they need to be high functioning. Otherwise, you're going to have all kinds of breakdown of the physical bodies. Usually what incapacitates your filters, obviously, are metals, plastics, toxins, an overload of toxins, an unnatural amount of toxins, which is exactly what the people in the Northern Americas receive in their food and their water systems, and parasites. So your doctors in the medical field are not interested in making you well, they're interested in making money. And they generally won't go in the direction of cleaning and clearing your body. Holistic practitioners or health and wellness practitioners will usually direct you in that way. But if that is what is going on with your body, before you rush to anything that's going to further poison your body, which is in the medication category, we would make a very strong suggestion, and that would be for you to cleanse and clear and detox your body.
Absolutely, absolutely. Next question from Monica 2828. Is it true that Melania Trump was sending us communication wearing a silver dress on New Year's Eve while walking into the theme song of the Lone Ranger? Part two, will silver take down the Babylonian system?
Yeah, it's a big piece of it. It's a big piece of it. So we're, and you're watching the deconstruction of the corruption in the leaders and things like that. But yes, of course, everything that person does is a calm. Everything that person does. From the way she stands, from the position that she stands, from every color that she wears, from what she's wearing, from whether her hair is up or down, from the positioning of her hands, everything is a calm, and everything is utilized for usually some disclosure of information.
Wow, that's awesome. Next question from Mr. Turk. Julius, can you explain what the Wim Hof breath work does internally? What is the mechanism behind the healing process of it? Does it take you into theta? And also walking backward benefits. Super curious.
So yeah, so it has to do with brain activation. So walking backwards has to do with the way the brain works. Okay, so usually what happens is in your breathing gets very, very rapid and very, very shallow You are not designed to breathe as quickly and as shallow as you do. You're designed to use full breath work for restoration and healing as well as brain activation. So all forms of breath work assist you to get you positioned into a calmer state, which is the way that theta brain can be activated. So stress and anxiety prevents theta state. Okay? So calming breath work will help you get into a theta state because it will calm you down. But only if it does calm you down. So sometimes breath work doesn't calm people down. It can stress them out even more because during extreme forms of breath work, one could feel very breathless or feel very afraid that they aren't breathing enough. And so sometimes breath work can be stressful. We encourage people to ease into forms of breath work so that you are experiencing calming and not stress, panic, and frustration. Because a lot of people panic when they don't feel that they're breathing enough. And a lot of people don't know how to breathe fully and deeply into their lungs. And a lot of people, Master, have a lot of damage in their lungs. And so their lung, they can't even breathe, down deep to full capacity. So reverse breathing is an extraordinary practice for you to look into, and it helps do a reverse nucleonic spin to your body on a subatomic level, which has to do with a lot of healing and restoration. So ancient, Far Eastern ancient forms of reverse breathing are really interesting to practice. Anything in reverse helps to activate both parts of the brain. When you're continually moving only in one direction, you're predominant on either the right or left hemisphere of the brain. And anytime you go counter to anything that you are dominant in what you're doing, you'll stimulate both parts of the brain, at least for a short period of time, while it's going counterproductive to what it normally does. And so walking backwards can do some of that. Standing on your head can do some of that. Walking on your hands, doing handstands, walking on your hands, hanging upside down. There's all kinds of things that you can do that seem counter to what you normally do. And when you are doing that, you'll usually get both hemisphere brain activation for at least a short period of time while you're doing the reverse action for yourself. And this also includes, using if you're normally right-handed, using your left side of your body more, okay? And, if you pay attention to the way you do things in the morning, brushing your teeth with your left hand instead of your right hand, putting your left sock on first instead of your right sock on first, putting your pants on one leg. Most people are very, very patterned to one side of things. This can even come in the order of where you position yourself in your house, okay? This can come into the order of how you position things in your house. So everything that starts to lean in a really, really strong pattern will cause your hemispheres of your brain to separate themselves. Anytime you go counter to your norm, you're going to fire up both sides of the hemisphere of the brain. It's a great practice, very, very healthy, very healthy. But your breathing, the intention behind breath work is to get you into a calm state, a calm state. In your calm state, in your intentional state, and in your awareness practices, you can reach theta pretty easily. You're in theta when you're calm and when you're in the moment of now. It's when you are distracted and stressed and full of anxiety and preoccupation and judgment that you are not in that state. So we hope that answers that question for you. So in a sense, yes, if it takes you to a calm state, it can get you into a theta state. That's the general answer to your question about that breathing technique. Okay?
Awesome. Next question from beloved Babaji. How do you feel about hair dye to cover up white hair? Is it safe?
So, everything that comes at once a hair follicle has sprouted out of your scalp, it's dead, okay, has non-activity to it. So you're basically putting, dye loads into something that is already dead, non-capacitated or injured. In fact, hair follicles are a detox uh, aspect. Okay, they're part of your cleansing disposal system. They're part of your disposal system. Okay, so your hair generally has a lot of toxins in it, has a lot of metals in it, has a lot of plastics in it. And the molecules of hair dye a lot of times are interacting with that. In fact, a lot of times the hair dye is actually clinging to metals and plastics in the hair shaft, in which case that's not generally transferring to you. Now, but having said that, hair dye always sits on the scalp, which is your largest organ. So there is an aspect of that hair dye that gets absorbed into your body, okay? It depends on the product, and it depends on how highly sensitive you are to what the dye loads are and the size of the molecules in the dye loads. And that varies according to hair product, and it varies according to FDA regulations around the globe for hair dye, okay? So hair dye that is manufactured in the US has a tendency to have more artificiated aspects to it, and therefore can become, more toxic to you than the international forms of hair dye that have been around, for a very, very, very long time. They don't dye the medulla, and they don't dye the bulb that sits underneath the hair shaft. So your scalp is generally, and your hair follicle is not holding dye underneath your scalp. It's just a surface application. You can become highly sensitive to some of the products that are in the dye, and it's mixed with hydrogen peroxide, which is liquid oxygen, and it's the liquid oxygen that generally opens up the hair shaft and lets the dye load enter in and then closes the hair shaft down. Ammonia can sometimes be in the dyed product, and a combination between ammonia and peroxide can be very irritating, but there is not a whole lot of correlation. If you're asking us if we think it causes cancer, generally no. But if you are a person that is going to choose to have a cancerous experience, there may be something that's going to lead you to believe that that's the cause of that. But that would usually have to do with metallic dyes only, and metallic salt dyes, and in which case exactly what they're saying, they actually infuse metals into your scalp. But other than metallic salt dyes, you won't have that problem.
Love it, love it. Next question from Hilda B. How can we heal from phobias of certain visuals, such as clusters, holes, and certain shapes and forms? What process can we use to dissolve the triggering of unpleasant sensations from visuals?
So you obviously have had a trauma related to that in some way, in some way. So general trauma therapy will usually help dissolve away phobias, okay, and paranoias. It's all linked to trauma, and it's all linked to trauma therapies, okay? You don't have to always play with those things. You don't have to force yourself. You don't have to climb into a coffin full of spiders until you get rid of your arachnophobia. Like, you don't have to shock your system to death, okay? But you could probably get to the point where if there is a little spider crawling up the wall, you're not going to scream and run out of the room, okay? So it's really up to your comfort level, but it's all about trauma, and it's all about trauma therapies, okay?
Amazing. We have reached a time in the show where we talk about the fabulous, fabulous special today. Let me get on the right screen here. Okay, so we have a fabulous two-part workshop coming up this week. It's talking about the difference between peace and comfort.
Yeah, yeah. This class is so relevant to your life. Like this is very applicable to your day in and day out lives. Okay. This is taking subject matters that you don't even think about and make and help you realize that everything has to do with your conscious journey and your perception and your understanding. This is a huge arena where people get a misinterpretation between these two subject matters. And if you have been misinterpreting those two, you may definitely want to visit this so you get this straightened out. So this is working for your conscious journey and not against your conscious journey. So this is one of those topics like we do all the time, where people think they get something or think they understand something, and it can end up being very detrimental to you. And until you address it, until you make a shift or a change, it can actually be counterproductive to what you're doing on your conscious journey. And this is one of those. So everybody should be climbing on this, especially now with a lot of these really cool energies that are changing and shifting everything for everybody at this time. So please come and join us. These two-part classes are really awesome. They're, they fit into your budget. Time-wise, you're not going to spend better time than you will in these courses and these classes. You're always going to pull something out of them that is relevant to you. It's always, always worth your time spent.
Absolutely. The classes are amazing. And the joining the Academy is a way to get all of those classes at one actually discounted price each month. As a reminder, we are also still running the special on the closing out 2025, bringing in 2026 energy workshop, which is amazing. Actually, it's not a workshop, it's a personal session with Casey and Julius. I would highly recommend that for anybody. Next question from Damama. Hey Julius, as pets, can you tell me what both cats and dogs offer energy related for us, please?
Well, they're generally extremely therapeutic, extremely healing, because they tend to have no conditions to their love or their capacity for love. So they're a wonderful way to experience unconditional love. They usually have an extraordinary set of frequency to them for healing. So cats can have their purring and the way they massage you. They're literally the way that they massage you, do the biscuits on you. They do that while they're purring, and they're literally giving you that energy. They're literally little energy workers, okay? Now they can just lay on your body and purr, and that's going to transfer. It's sound frequency, that's for sure, but literally they're little energy workers, okay? And dogs offer the same type of thing, when they're laying on you, when they're wagging their tails, when they're giving you affection. So they're extremely therapeutic, extremely therapeutic. They also can help protect you energetically. They can also absorb the energy in the room, so they can be energetic filters in a room, in which case you definitely want to do some cleansing practices with them and honoring them for what they do. And of course, they're interdimensional beings. But the other thing that is so amazing about animals or any other sentient, is their ability for you to see yourself in ways that you don't recognize when you're all by yourself. Just like interaction with any form of a sentient being. An animal can definitively mirror back to you who you are, and they can definitively show you, blatantly show you things that you're absolutely is a blind spot to you about yourself. They also can give you the opportunity to practice compassion and empathy, which is always needed in the human experience. And they have a wonderful capacity for joy, and they have a wonderful ability to help you learn how to live in the now.
Amazing, amazing. Next question from Tom Scales. Do we have the same eyes in all our physical lifetimes, being that the eyes are the windows to the soul?
Absolutely not. Your costumes are vast and varied in every incarnation. There isn't any part of your physical body that you carry into your next costume. Why would you? Why would you need to do that? You are source, and everything about your costume adds another layer to an expansive perspective of you being source in the physical. And Master, if you want to hit it on the highest truth, there's only one of us here. So you've got every looking glass simultaneously that you are looking through in every coloration, in every shape, in every capacity of depth perception, and every capacity of color perception, and every broad width, vast and varied aspect for you to receive thought. So please, we would encourage you to not consider yourself separate and singular, for that is a limited truth.
Love it. Love it. Next question from the one and only Stephanie Cruz. Hi, Julius. I'd love your insight on something. Do you feel what's currently happening in Venezuela could be serving as a distraction from a larger global shift that are unfolding, particularly around financial systems and possibly even ushering in the new phase of financial restructuring or abundance worldwide?
Yeah, and it's another piece. Everything that you just said, it's part of a distraction, but really we want you to imagine that it's disclosure. It's disclosure, okay? And there's so much tied to Venezuela on a very three-dimensional capacity. Has a lot to do with, like you said, the financial systems, but it has a lot also to do with corruption, has a lot to do with your, election fraud, has a lot to do with human trafficking, drugs trafficking, arms trafficking, satanic practices. So it's another one of those, points of the sword, that they're using for disclosure. But also the resources available there for the financial reset that now will be open for distribution instead of hoarding and hiding. Okay, so there's a lot going on there. It's not the only one. There's going to be others that are going to be taken over and added to the global reset. And the global reset does include a financial reset, but it also includes, as we've stated before, a restructuring of the way the continents are divided on a political scale, on an economic scale, and things like that, and the whole restructuring of how the world is going to be formulated under power, quote unquote, powers, controls, and cooperation. So there's a lot going on. Always go deeper, and always know this. There's just so much that's serving. Like you said, one is a distraction, another is a huge aspect of disclosure, another is also response. How are people responding to what they're seeing? Are they getting messages across to people? But yes, there's a massive aspect of what to do with, the boulevard. We were just having this discussion earlier today, and it was kind of like, are you guys going to join in on the global reset? And it's like, no, we're not going to do that. And we're just like, well, here, hold my beer. Yes, you are going to do that. We'll just take your country over so that the currencies can reset. So there's a lot going on. And then also, again, like we said, to grab the resources for distribution of resources, but also it has to do with the election fraud also that they're just going to be disclosing to people.
Love that. Love that. Okay. Next question. Trying to look for people that have not already asked a question. Okay, from Temple of Poon. What is life like for Julius? Are you simply walking into the timeline experience through your next thought? Thanks, love always.
Well, we do the same thing you are, Master. Everything we move into thought just like you do. It's just a difference between awareness more than anything, and that is the truth. Our perception is different than yours. We don't have the judgment against thought that you do. And the way that you think and the way that you perceive your thoughts creates your reality. So our reality is different from yours based on the way that we perceive thought. And that is how that works. So we are in eternal and infinite existence, just as you are. We are simultaneous, just like you are, and we are aware of that, though you are not fully aware of that in this version of you as a kaleidoscope in the fractalization that is source. So the difference, Masters, is levels of consciousness which are interrelated to the way that thought is perceived. And so our reality and our truth tends to be more consistent than yours, tends to be full of more joy than yours, tends to be far less limited than yours because our perception is broader. But the great news is you are growing yours. You will have your version of all of that, but we will never have identical experiences. You as source and we as source do not need to duplicate. We are always in variation, infinite expansion, and states of awareness.
Love that. Next question from Elizabeth Wolf. Whenever I massage my head, especially the back of it, I experience lots of pain in the skull. Do you have any idea what's going on with that?
Yeah, you probably have massive dry spots in your sacrum fluid. So we would highly recommend cranial sacral massage therapy for you. Highly recommend that. Okay. We want you to do your research on cranial sacral massage. And we want you to understand that between your scalp and your skull should be a layer of sacrum fluid. And most people do not have a consistent layer of sacrum fluid. You have dry spots, literal dry spots, which can cause a lot of direct pain and tension and inconsistent flow of energy and healing capacities and plasma throughout your body. You also, because of that, you could be experiencing inflammation in between the area between your scalp and your skull. So we would recommend you look into cranial sacral therapy.
Love it. Love it. Right. Starting double up questions. Temple of Poon. Can you give information on how the tarot works? And what about when a card seems doesn't seem to apply? Thanks.
So tarot is energy. Everything's energy, Master. Everything is energy. Okay, and you are an information dumpster. Okay, whether you realize it, you wear your reality in your energy field. Always, you are a projection of your thoughts and your emotions. Your life is in your projection field, is in your energy field, okay? You don't have any secrets. You think you do, but you don't. Everything is in your energy field, okay? And energy can be read. It can be felt and read, okay? So tarot cards, as well as other things, are a way for energy to interact with each other and pick up on identification, pick up on information highway, okay? Now, not every reader is accurate according to what's going on in your life that you are aware of in that moment. But tarot doesn't necessarily pick up on full accuracy of timeline because time doesn't actually exist. So sometimes when you're getting a tarot card reading, it can be a total blind spot to you. So you'll say, well, that's just not true. And then inevitably it can end up happening. And you go, oh my gosh, that tarot card reading that I got 6 months ago, guess what? It was accurate. It could be picking up on another timeline, okay? Because you coexist in concurrent existences. So it could be picking up on another timeline. But also tarot can read other people in your life, okay? So if you have relationships going on in your life, and you do, tarot can be picking up on those energies in your field as well. So it can sometimes be that the information that tarot is reading isn't you. It could be your mother, it could be your sibling, it could be a loved one, it could be anything that is relevant to your life. So tarot isn't always completely honed in on you. It's picking up on energy in your field. It's up to the reader to get kind of an intuitive aspect to it. So sometimes people who are highly intuitive can really pick up on that. And they're like, this isn't you, but this is, you know, a male in your energy. Maybe it's somebody that you work with, feels like maybe your son. So you can get a highly intuitive tarot card reader. And then you can also just have people that just read the tarot cards from the booklet. Okay, and when that happens, they can be a little bit harder to decipher or apply to your life. So it depends on your reader and how intuitive they are, but it's all energy. It's all energy. It really is. Now, some people will, you know, have tarot done and they're like, this just doesn't resonate with me. It never resonates with me. And we'll say, that's fine. That's fine. It's not, and you know, nothing's absolutely set in stone, but it does have a tendency to provide some very powerful insight, very powerful insight. More often than not, if somebody is open to the possibility of receiving information, it's more than likely going to provide forms of information, more often than not. But it is just a way of reading. It's a way of reading. But it depends on the reader as far as how that read can be interpreted, okay? Greg is an extraordinary tarot reader, and a lot of his sessions can end up not being in this present moment, but yet people will come back months later and be like, oh my gosh, you're not even going to believe how this thing played itself out. We're going to give you an example of that. So this was so much fun. So much fun. So Greg does these extraordinary readings, right? And he does a master reading called a Lenormand reading. It's generally around a 3-month spread, okay? And having fun and having insight and playing. And sometimes the most bizarre thing will show up in the reading, right? Something just off the cuff, right? And you're like, what? Okay? And it's like, I don't know. This is in your energetic field, and you'll be thinking to yourself, you're off your nut, right? You're like, you're whatever, Greg. Okay, whatever. And then it's like, oh my God, right? 2 weeks later, you're calling going, you remember that crazy thing? It's like, wow, okay? And a perfect example was, not kidding. So I'm going to come back, hold on, I'm going to come back into capacity here. So I'm Casey now talking about this. We're talking about Greg doing that reading. When I first moved to Georgia and set up and getting into my daily routine, Greg was doing a reading for me online via Zoom. And in the Lenormand read, it said counterfeit money in the read. And I was like, what? And Greg was like, yeah, like counterfeit money is showing up in your read. And it was just one of those weird things. It's like, what do you mean counterfeit money, right? And he's like, I don't know. I'm just saying. No joke. No joke. The next day, when I went out for my run in the morning, I found $6,000 in counterfeit money on my run that morning. 6,000 counterfeit dollars. Literally gathered it up. A drug dealer must have dropped the bag or whatever. Literally gathered it up, came home, called the police. First thing I did was call Greg and go, you are not going to believe it. You're not going to believe it. So sometimes it's some of the craziest stuff, but it's all energy, and there's no other way of explaining it other than that, right?
Absolutely. One thing to remember reading cards is they're largely symbolic. So, like Casey and Julius were saying, the book may say, you know, the tower card that everybody's afraid of is, rapid destruction of your life, and it's like, no, you're gonna move. Like you'll get those little pings, and you know, again, you might be reading the wrong timeline, but just go with it. Whatever pops into your brain, say it. Like the counterfeit money thing. Like, I don't know why it's here. It's here. Here you go. Figure it out. All right, bye. See you next time. And then boom, next day, here you go. It was very, we've had a few of those.
Counterfeit money. Okay, counterfeit money.
Okay, whatever. All right. Love the comments. Freaking awesome. Love you guys. Next question from Turk. Julius, are there any mystical schools still available to attend, and what ones would you recommend?
Hmm. Nothing in your country. Far Eastern philosophy schools are pretty buried. They're pretty buried. Yes, their mysticism, Far Eastern mysticism, is still taught. Schools that work with, enlightened capacity for children and consciousness, though there are some out there, we cannot personally recommend any of them as being authentic. In fact, should we just throw them in the category of the daycare with the soldiers? Oh, sorry, off subject. Sorry, off subject.
Oh my.
Wow, sorry, we didn't say that. Most of them are not authentic, but are there some very deeply buried? Yes, but they're not usually accessible, not for any amount of pay. It usually has to do with other forms of entry to be able to be into those experiences. We know what you're thinking, Turk. We know what you're thinking. Uh, you know, the movies, with Doctor Strange and things like that. Yes, those are very real. Those types of schools are very real, but they aren't generally accessible to the public.
Love it. Love it. Next question from Cat 55. What is the reason we create guides to interact with us on our conscious journey? Thank you.
It's part of your resolution to your amnesia. Knowing that you're going to put yourself through amnesia, you're going to send yourself runners, and they come in all forms. And so it's just a capacitated aspect of you assisting yourself on your remembering process. That's what we will tell you.
Next question from Sandra Townsend. I will be meeting up with friends soon who I haven't seen for a long time, with whom I have good memories, but how do I let go of the past and old identities and still have a good time with them?
Dialogue with them, master for newness. Okay? While everybody is in reminiscence, we want you to say, enjoy the reminiscing of the past, because that's how old friends catch up, right? Is they activate all the joy and the fun memories and things like that. And what we would encourage you to say is, let's add to this and let's talk about now the new things that are going on in our lives, okay? So as much of the reminiscing is going on, you be the responsible one to bring everybody to the present moment. What is going on now? How has that helped you to be developed in who you are today? How is who you are today related to the good times of the past? What is it that you have coming up? What is new for you? What are your dreams like from today? So be the instrument for the now and for future quote unquote future creativity, so that it isn't just get stuck in the reminiscing, but utilizing the reminiscing as a launch pad for their discovery of self in the now. How about that?
Love it. Love it. Next question from the mama. It's actually three parts, but they're very similar. Are narcissists also known as energy vampires? And can they be attached to you like cords? And how do you get away from this?
Yeah. Yes to all to your questions. Narcissistic attachment is like grappling hooks. They're like grappling hooks because they are a psychological torment and torture. So narcissistic trauma and trauma bonding is brainwashing. It's a type of MK Ultra brainwashing. And that acts as an energetic cord between you and the narcissist. So you literally have Stockholm syndrome, and you have trauma bonding when it comes to a narcissistic attachment and a narcissistic relationship. Narcissists always have the intention of owning you. Always. Okay? So you are likely to never escape being on their minds. Okay? And so there's really very little that you can do about that. So they're always going to throw their energy at you, and they're going to throw their grappling hooks at you. What you can do is we can do an energy cord clearing for you. That will help. You usually have to do them
Which is
on a
amazing.
regular basis for a long time, because the attachments from your mind are still attached to them. And that takes time for you to stop thinking about them. So we can do cord cutting for you and clearing for you, and you get to do those things as well. But there are also some stones and some crystals that you can wear, that you can carry with you, that will help protect you against energetic attachments and help protect you against energy vampirism. We would recommend that not only do you wear them and carry them with you, but also place them around your bed and your nightstands, under your pillow, under your bed, because they will violate you in your sleep, dreams, nightmares, and things like that. And Greg, why don't you take it from here on the suggestions as to what those crystals and stones could be?
Okay, really, really quickly. First of all, any stone that brings you joy, doesn't matter what it is, that will up your vibration and help sever those cords. Kunzite is the stone of radical self-love, so that's a really good one. Moldavite, if you can handle it, is the ultimate energy stone, really. If you can't, it's very masculine stone. Libyan desert glass is the female counterpart to Moldavite. A lot of people like that better, say it just as powerful. For overall protection, black tourmaline is the ultimate, um, as somebody that we know has fuck you tattooed on their forehead. That is basically what black tourmaline will do for you. Ain't nothing get through that. Hematite will ground you. Smoky quartz will help transmute energies. And for the type of narcissistic cord cutting that you're looking for, I would recommend spiderweb obsidian over obsidian. Obsidian will work. Mahogany obsidian will also work. But spiderweb obsidian has the ability to cut cords at the cellular level.
Yeah.
That's a super brief overview, but there you go.
Yeah, and you really need to have coaching and or forms of therapy from people who specialize in narcissistic trauma,
Absolutely.
not your standard therapist, not your standard life coach. Greg is one. We offer therapy for that as well. because you really need to work your way out of the psychological attack and psychological experience that you have had. This is not a normal relationship. This is not a normal relationship. This is psychological warfare, and people will end up having that trauma and that damage their whole lives if they don't deal with it on a very regular basis, and do their work and do their work. And so if you're not doing that, you're going to have a very difficult time getting that detached away from you.
Love it. Love it. One more question on the tarot from Temple of Poon. Um, I'll just answer it really quickly so it's shorter. So tarot is more about the energy in your field, or is it like likely other timelines, not necessarily based on the answer or the intent of the read. Uh, I'm learning to ask the read myself. So real quickly, Temple, the cards don't necessarily match the answer because you're not specific enough with the question. Like if you ask, okay, am I going to die? You're going to get yes, always. Now, am I going to die tomorrow or transition tomorrow? Okay, you'll probably get a different read. Or, am I going to win the lottery? Well, okay, you'll probably get an affirmative answer because it's too broad. Now, if you say, am I going to win the lottery in this timeline, in this year, in this moment of now? There you go. You narrowed your answer down. You got super specific about what you're asking. So the cards, well, I mean, you're channeling their energy into the cards essentially, but you'll be able to focus and get their specific answer. So if they're asking anything about right now in this timeline, you need to phrase that in the question to get a super accurate answer until you're more experienced and you can know, okay, that's what they're asking.
Right, right. Yeah.
Next question, and the last question of the day. Um, Daycare with soldiers? Super curious.
You're just gonna have to get online. Just get online and find out what's going on there. You're cut off from some of the stuff that's going on right now. It's all good. It's all good, right?
Love it.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, this is the Ask Julius show. With your permission, there are people asking for my contact information. Is that okay?
Please, please throw it at him, Gregor
All right.
Troll. You.
So my email is the Greg or troll at gmail.com. My website is Greg Nyman coaching at gmail.com as well.
Yeah, yeah. So much
I,
fun. So
I
much fun.
am a
We have
coach.
amazing, amazing coaching packages on Channeling Joyous. If you are looking to make a huge leap this year for yourself, you might want to check out some of those one-on-one coaching sessions with Joyous and myself for some huge life-changing experiences.
I have done
As
those
well as, what can I
packages.
say, all of the energy processes. And you know what? We're running our specials all the way through the month of January. We were going to cut them off the 1st of January, sat down and had a powwow with Sue and my team, and we're like, let's give everybody through the month of January, treating themselves after the holiday. Please look on the website. You're going to find the best pricing that we've had on things on some of the specials, and the mini sessions are so much fun. They're so affordable, and you can get a really great punch on some of the mini sessions. And don't forget what, like Greg was saying, we're still doing the closing out 2025 and intro into 2026. We'll be running that till about mid-February, because that energy gate is open for the horse energy until about mid-February, right? So lots of
Absolutely.
fun stuff, going on. Okay?
If you are looking to up level this year with a bang, definitely get in with the Julius packages, as many as you can comfortably fit into your schedule. They are pretty intense. Some of them, I know I've done multiple coaching packages, and they're life changing. I mean, you get all sorts of revealment, all sorts of blind spots are exposed, in the most loving way possible.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe might get a little energetic kick in the teeth, right? I want to plug Greg back because Greg literally helped to carry me through my trauma that I have experienced in the last 2 years. That is not a secret. I always share that with people when people ask me how I made it through my trauma and my changes in my life, and I wouldn't have been able to do it, obviously, without Julius, my team, my students, you guys, Greg. I mean,
You're amazing. We
I'm
all
not
love
gonna, I
you.
promise I'm not gonna make myself cry. I seriously had Greg do probably, I don't even know, 20 reads a day with me for a year after a catastrophe hit my life, December 27th of 2023. And from that day forward, his card readings and his coaching were something that I would not have been able to reach my capacity of healing that I have reached here without that being a big, big piece. So please, guys, if you feel inspired to talk to Greg about some cool sessions, please do that. Some of you have had them. So some of you, some of you have had sessions with Greg, and I know you can plug in and say hi, but check everything out, right? Check us out. We'll be here next Sunday. Continue to
Absolutely.
have conversations and interactions with all of you. We love you so much, so much, right?
And if you want to get real crazy, you have sessions with me and with Julius at the same time.
Right. We love you guys. We love you so much. Thank you for your interaction. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We hope you have the most amazing week. Blessed, blessed evening. And please, if you want to join us for that class this week, we will see you on Tuesday for that two-part class with Joyous. And we would love, love to have some new people in on the class. Check everything out on the website. And if you have any questions, of course, hit support@channelingjoyous.com.
Absolutely. Love you all. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.